welcome to Hub City TV, a USM student news magazine production. We're your source for what's happening in the Pine Belt. I'm your host, Jordan Lang.
And I'm your co-host, Mandisha Thornton. And this week's show will make you aware of safety hazards that may affect your daily travels.
And how the victims of a deadly disease refuse to let it take their breath away.
Social media is the new playground for school kids. We'll tell you how local school districts enforce more regulations.
And USM's baseball team continues to bring home the wins.
And we'll bring you an update on the debate regarding Mississippi's state flag.
But first, there's a safety hazard you should look out for when driving along Hardy Street.
When passing along the Hardy Street Bridge, you may feel a slight bump in the road. And for those wondering, the bump is actually a gap in the bridge.
While some residents don't believe the gap is a big deal, higher concerns for overall maintenance of the bridge increases.
Hub City TV reporter Brandon Harris investigates the cause of the gap.
While driving along Hardy Street, you may feel a bump in the road. This is caused by a gap in the bridge on Hardy Street over Interstate 59. But Hattiesburg resident Susan Burchell says the gap isn't a problem.
To be honest, I never noticed the gap in the bridge, and so I don't know. I travel that once a week and didn't really notice it in my vehicle.
While Burchell feels the bridge is safe, she thinks it needs routine maintenance.
I think it needs to be monitored by MDOT and the city of Hattiesburg, whoever has the primary responsibility for maintenance.
MDOT bridge engineer Paul Purvis explains the gap is just part of the bridge's design.
It is an expansion joint that's built into the it's designed into the bridge as a bridge is expanding and contracting due to temperature.
And the Hardy Street Bridge is just one of the bridges MDOT plans to repair.
We just basically added this bridge to it since it was failing like it was and so in the condition that it was.
But some residents feel they need to be ready for traffic just in case.
People are going to have to grow up and leave earlier and prepare for delays.
MDOT says they plan to start repairs as soon as possible. Reporting for Hub City TV, I'm Brandon Harrison.
Another bump in the road that should concern drivers is railroad crossings. Statistics from the Federal Railway Administration shows every 3 hours a train hits a car or a person.
The devastating train accident in Biloxi brought a fact all too close to home.
Looking out for key signs at railroad crossings may save your life.
Railroad safety experts say their regular inspections include monitoring hazardous material, motive power, and equipment.
They also look at operating practices, signal train control, and track conditions.
Hub City TV reporter Jacqueline Coleman tells us how to take a railroad precautions a step further.
It's been said a modern car can go at least 110 miles per hour, but very few cars will make it across the tracks in time. Safety concerns over railroad crossings have been an issue for years. 4 people lost their lives to a freight train in Biloxi, Mississippi on March 7th, but the potential of danger railroad crossings extends nationwide. The number of deaths and injuries caused by train collisions are rising. In 2016 alone, that number was 2,025. Thanks to the Federal Railroad Administration, all railroad lines are required to post emergency notification system signs at every public and private railroad crossing.
It's a blue sign with white writing. It's 6 numbers and 1 letter, and each one of those is an identifier for that crossing. It also has a 1-800 number to call that puts you directly in touch with someone who can actually contact the train crew to get the train stopped.
Sloan says the best thing to do if your car gets stuck on the track is to get out of your car and run a 5-degree angle. These signs are hugely important. The only problem is some people don't know that they are there.
I never knew that there was a sign there. I think if it was bigger and maybe more publicized, then more people would know about it.
In efforts to stay safe, Sloan recommends for drivers to always expect the train at any given time. She says never try to beat the train with your car, and the best option is to always open the door and get out of your car if it gets stuck on the track.
Merit Health Wesley's Veterans Affairs Clinic expands its services by moving to a new location.
The big move allows more space for the clinic to take an additional estimated 5,000 veterans a year.
For the 19th year Wesley receives the Veterans Health Administration contract, the clinic continues to provide customized care under the patient-aligned care team model.
The Veterans Affairs Clinic is now fully operated at the Merit Health Wesley campus located on 5003 Hardy Street. Cystic fibrosis, a disease characterized by frequent coughing, shortness of breath, and increased changes of contracting lung infections.
According to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, 30,000 Americans have the disease.
Living with the illness is tough, but one Hattiesburg resident says he's not going to let it control his life.
Here's Hub City TV reporter Mandisha Thornton with more details.
I watched him die. I don't want that. That is part of my motivation.
Steve Richards reminisces on the memories of his older brother who suffered from a disease called cystic fibrosis, the same disease that Steve suffers from now. Cystic fibrosis, by definition, is a disease where mucus can build up in the lungs. According to the Healthline.com, the life expectancy for the disease is 35 to 40 years, with the average being 37 years. Maintaining one's health is the basic goal, but the treatments that come along with it can be draining.
And then my nose stuff.
Richard says that he misses his elder brother dearly,
10 minutes on
but is in no rush to join him.
My lunchtime, I tell him I love you, I miss you, but I am not joining you anytime soon if I can help it. Yeah, but that's just me.
Richards follows a strict health regimen that includes a total of 19 pills, portable breathing packs, and full vest breathing treatments. Jonathan Lawler, also a CF patient and Richard's mentee, reflects on their relationship.
Steve is probably the best man I've ever met. I've had a family member and a dear friend of mine who's passed away from CF. And when I lost him, I really didn't have anyone to look up to when it came to this disease. And he's definitely been that for me.
Richard's home is littered with family photos that keep him motivated. For Hub City TV, I'm Mandisha Thornton.
Steve Richards continues to inspire those around him, including a USM alumni who also struggles with cystic fibrosis.
Living with the disease alters the way victims move, speak, and interact. While there's a significant process with those treating it, there still is no cure.
Average life expectancy rate is 40 years old, but this advocate refuses to put a timestamp on his life. Here's Hub City TV reporter Julius Kizzy with his story.
No disease is like cystic fibrosis.
Gives me a break. Gives my ribs a break too.
According to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, over 30,000 people in the United States have CF, but you cannot tell just by looking at people like Jonathan Lawler.
No matter what, it's going to stay that way. I mean, unless you allow it to beat you, then you're going to beat it.
Lawler is 23, running a 5K in honor of awareness of his mentor, Steve Richards, who is 53 years old, living with a disease that affects your ability to properly breathe.
What's the point of being here if you're just existing? Because then you're not enjoying life, you're not doing anything.
Things like running and exercising can be a task for both men, as CF affects all of your mucus glands from your nose to your intestines.
Everybody else has their own problems. They have their own things they got to carry with them throughout their own lives. Mine's just a little different.
Both men know that their next step might be their last, but are glad that they have one another just a phone call away. For Hub City TV, I'm Julius Kizzy.
When we return, we'll warn you of some of the dangers of social media and high school students and how a local elementary school can finally hit the books again.
We'll also show you how legislators kill a new bill regarding marital domestic violence.
And how USM takes a stand against sexual assault on its campuses. So stick around.